War begins, and instantly the world expects one thing. People believe silver should rise. History has taught investors that when fear spreads, when uncertainty fills the air, and when global tension explodes, precious metals usually shine. Many people think silver is the shield in times like these. They believe when chaos appears, silver becomes stronger. They believe this is the moment when its true value finally wakes up. Surprised. But then something shocking happens. Instead of exploding upward, silver hesitates. Instead of racing higher, the price moves slowly, sometimes even falling. And suddenly the confidence that investors felt just hours before starts to shake. People look at the charts again and again. They refresh the market pages. They ask the same question over and over. Curious, why is silver not moving the way it should? This is the moment of shock. Because the world is watching a war unfold. Headlines are filled with fear, tension, and uncertainty. Markets are reacting everywhere. Oil moves, currencies jump, stocks swing wildly. But silver, the metal many expected to lead the charge, is acting differently than people imagined. And that difference creates confusion. For many investors, silver is not just a metal. It represents protection. It represents stability when the world feels unstable. It represents a promise that when things go wrong, there is still something real that holds value. So when war arrives and silver does not instantly surge, it feels strange. It feels unexpected. It feels like something important is happening beneath the surface. This shock is powerful because it forces people to question what they thought they understood about markets. It reminds investors that markets are emotional, complex, and sometimes completely unpredictable. And in moments like this, the biggest opportunity is not reacting with fear, but stepping back, paying attention, and trying to understand the deeper story unfolding right in front of everyone. Expand this keynote 2 into 300 words. Don't add any subheadings and any conclusion in last of keynote. Make it enthusiastic and emotional and inspirational and use simple wordings. The moment confusion enters the market, emotions begin to rise. Investors who were confident just a short time ago suddenly feel uncertain. They start asking questions they never expected to ask. They look at the news about war. They see the fear spreading across the world, and deep inside they believe silver should already be moving higher. But the charts tell a different story. The price moves slowly, sometimes even slipping down, and that creates a strange feeling of doubt. People refresh their trading screens again and again. They scroll through headlines, watch market updates, and search for answers. Some begin to worry that they misunderstood the situation. Others start wondering if something bigger is happening behind the scenes. The excitement that once filled their expectations slowly turns into tension. Not panic, but a quiet pressure that grows stronger with every hour. This is the emotional moment where many investors feel caught in the middle. On one side, the world looks unstable. War headlines are everywhere. Fear is spreading across global markets. And history has always told us that precious metals should benefit during times like these. On the other side, the market itself seems to be sending a different message. And when those two things clash, confusion becomes powerful. For someone holding silver, this moment can feel uncomfortable. You want to believe the story you trusted before. You want the market to confirm what you expected. But instead, the signals seem mixed. The price does not match the emotion of the world. Yet this tension also carries an important lesson. Markets are not just driven by fear or headlines. They move through deeper forces, money flows, investor behavior, and hidden pressures most people never see. And when investors feel confused, it often means something important is developing quietly beneath the surface. Expand this keynote 3 into 300 words. Don't add any subheadings and any conclusion in last of keynote. Make it enthusiastic and emotional and inspirational and use simple wordings. For a long time, people have repeated the same idea again and again. When crisis comes, precious metals rise. When fear spreads across the world, silver becomes stronger. It sounds simple. It sounds logical. And because we have seen moments in history where metals surge during chaos, many investors have started to treat this belief like a rule that never breaks. But markets are rarely that simple. Sometimes the story everyone believes is exactly the story that needs to be questioned. When millions of investors expect the same outcome, the market can behave in a completely different way. And that is the moment where strong thinking becomes more important than blind belief. Right now, many people are looking at this war and assuming silver must go up immediately. They expect a fast reaction, they expect panic buying, they expect the metal to explode in value as investors rush towards safety. But what if the market is moving through a different phase first? What if the forces pushing silver right now are not the ones people usually talk about? This is where understanding becomes powerful, because silver is not just a crisis metal, it is also an industrial metal. It moves with global manufacturing, technology demand, economic expectations, and the strength of the dollar. When a major conflict begins, it can shake many parts of the global economy at the same time. Factories slow down, investors move money quickly, currencies shift, and sometimes those movements create pressure on silver before they create strength. That is why this moment asks investors to think deeper. Not every crisis instantly lifts silver. Sometimes the path is more complicated. Sometimes the market moves through confusion before it moves toward opportunity. And the investors who understand that truth are the ones who stay calm, stay focused, and keep their eyes open while the rest of the crowd reacts only to emotion. Expand this keynote 4 into 300 words. Don't add any subheadings and any conclusion in last of keynote. Make it enthusiastic and emotional and inspirational, and use simple wordings. After the shock and confusion, a new moment begins. This is the moment where panic tries to take control. Some investors start thinking they made a mistake. They see silver moving slower than expected, or even falling, and they begin to doubt everything they believed before. Fear whispers in their mind, telling them to react quickly, to sell, to run away before things get worse. But this is exactly the moment where awareness becomes powerful. Because markets are emotional places, they move not only on facts, but on the feelings of millions of people watching the same screens at the same time. When fear grows, decisions become rushed. When uncertainty rises, people start following the crowd instead of thinking clearly, and that is when mistakes are often made. The truth is that confusing moments in markets are not always signs of danger. Sometimes they are simply part of the journey. Markets breathe. They move forward, they pause, they pull back, and then they move again. Silver has always been a metal that moves through waves of emotion, excitement, disappointment, patience, and then sudden opportunity. This is why awareness matters more than panic. Instead of reacting to every headline, strong investors take a step back. They look deeper. They try to understand what forces are really moving the market. They study the bigger picture instead of only the daily price. And when they do that, they begin to see something that many others miss. Because behind the noise of the market, behind the fear and the uncertainty, there are always signals. Signals about money flow, signals about global demand, signals about where the pressure is building. And when investors learn to see those signals clearly, they move from confusion toward understanding, from fear toward patience, and from reaction toward smart decision making. Expand this keynote 5 into 300 words. Don't add any subheadings and any conclusion in last of keynote. Make it enthusiastic and emotional and inspirational, and use simple wordings. At the center of all these market movements are real people, not giant institutions, not massive hedge funds, but ordinary individuals who are trying to protect their future. People who work hard every day, save their money carefully, and look for something solid they can trust when the world feels uncertain. For many of them, silver is more than just an investment. It represents security. It represents the hope that when everything else becomes unstable, there is still something real they can hold on to. When global conflict begins and markets start behaving in strange ways, those ordinary investors feel the pressure first. They watch the news. They hear experts talking about war, inflation, and economic risk. And naturally, they want to make the right decision for themselves and for their families. They want to make sure the money they work so hard to earn does not slowly lose its value. That is why silver attracts so many everyday investors. It feels real. It feels honest. Unlike numbers on a screen or complicated financial products, silver is something physical, something that has held value for centuries. People see it as protection against uncertainty. They see it as a quiet form of strength in a world that sometimes feels fragile. But moments like this remind us that investing is never just about belief. It is about understanding what is happening around us. When markets react in unexpected ways, ordinary investors must stay calm and think clearly. They cannot allow fear or confusion to control their choices. Instead, they must stay patient, stay aware, and stay focused on the bigger picture, remembering that every market cycle carries lessons that help them grow stronger and wiser as investors. Expand this keynote 6 into 300 words. Don't add any subheadings and any conclusion in last of keynote. Make it enthusiastic and emotional and inspirational, and use simple wordings. Right now, the world feels tense. Every headline seems louder than the one before it. News about war spreads quickly, markets react instantly, and people everywhere are trying to understand what it all means. In moments like this, urgency fills the air. Investors feel like they must act fast, make quick decisions, and respond to every movement in the market. The pressure can feel heavy, almost like the future is moving faster than anyone can keep up with. But real strength in investing does not come from rushing. It comes from control. The most powerful investors are not the ones who react the fastest. They are the ones who stay calm when everyone else is nervous. They are the ones who can step back, breathe, and observe what is really happening beneath the surface. Because when the world feels chaotic, clarity becomes a rare and valuable advantage. Yes, something serious is unfolding in the global economy. War changes many things at the same time. It shakes supply chains, affects currencies, shifts energy prices, and forces governments to make big financial decisions. All these forces move together like waves in a storm, and when those waves hit the markets, assets like silver can move in ways that surprise people. But urgency does not mean losing control. It means paying closer attention. It means watching the signals carefully. It means learning from the movement of the market instead of reacting emotionally to every headline. When investors combine urgency with awareness, something powerful happens. Fear begins to fade and understanding begins to grow. The noise of the market becomes easier to filter out. The bigger picture starts to appear, and step by step, investors move from confusion toward confidence, guided not by panic but by knowledge and patience. Expand this keynote 7 into 300 words. Don't add any subheadings and any conclusion in last of keynote. Make it enthusiastic and emotional and inspirational, and use simple wordings. There comes a moment in every market story where everything starts to make sense. At first, the headlines feel confusing, the price movements feel strange, the expectations people had do not match what the charts are showing. But if you stay patient, if you keep watching carefully, the deeper truth slowly begins to appear. That is exactly where we are right now. Many people are looking at silver and asking the same question again and again. Why is it not moving the way we expected during a time of war? Why does the market seem to hesitate when fear across the world is rising? These questions are powerful because they force us to look deeper than the surface. And when we begin to look deeper, we realize that markets are not simple stories. They are complex systems driven by many forces at the same time. Global conflict, economic expectations, investor behavior, currency strength, industrial demand, and government decisions all move together like pieces of a giant puzzle. When one piece shifts, the others react. Understanding that puzzle is what changes everything. Because once you start to see the bigger picture, the confusion begins to fade. The strange price movements start to make more sense. The pressure building inside the market becomes clearer. Instead of reacting with frustration or doubt, you begin to feel something different. Awareness. And awareness is powerful. It transforms the way you look at silver, the way you understand global events, and the way you approach investing itself. The market stops feeling random. The movements stop feeling mysterious. You begin to see the signals that were always there, quietly shaping the direction of silver while most people were only watching the headlines.